Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just got checkmated on the world stage. Imagine being a world leader who can't even book a flight without wondering, will I get arrested if my plane lands there? That's literally Netanyahu's reality right now. Because guess what? 57 Islamic countries under the OIC banner just announced they are ready to arrest him if he enters their territory. And on top of that, the United Nations itself has officially concluded Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. So the question is Netanyahu finished internationally? And what does this mean for the Middle East? Let's break this down. First, let's talk about Netanyahu himself. For years, he's been the guy who could walk into Washington, D.C. or Paris or London and get a standing ovation. But now he's basically a political prisoner in his own country. Why? Because international courts, the ICC, International Criminal Court, and the ICJ, International Court of Justice, have both ruled against Israel's actions in Gaza. And Qatar just made it very clear, if Netanyahu sets foot in any of the 57 OIC countries, he should be arrested on sight. That's not just a political slap, that's a travel ban with handcuffs attached. Imagine the Prime Minister of Israel sitting in Tel Aviv thinking, okay, if I fly east, they'll arrest me. If I fly west, they'll arrest me. Maybe I should just build a tunnel out. But jokes aside, this is serious. We're talking about half the world ready to detain a sitting Prime Minister. So why now? Why is the world suddenly putting Netanyahu in a chokehold? Because the evidence is piling up. The UN report doesn't mince words. Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Not possible war crimes, not human rights violations, straight up genocide. That's a nuclear word in international law. Once that label sticks, you can't wash it off with PR campaigns. And the images coming out of Gaza, snipers targeting children, entire neighborhoods flattened, civilians massacred, they're impossible to spin. Even CNN, even independent UN inquiries have confirmed it. So here's the turning point. For decades, Israel has managed to justify its actions as self-defense. But now, the global consensus is shifting. Even allies like Germany and EU nations are telling their citizens, get out of Iran because something big is coming. That's how tense this has become. Now let's talk about Iran. Because this whole situation isn't just about Gaza, it's about a potential regional war. According to multiple reports, Israel is preparing strikes inside Iran, specifically targeting Hamas leaders living there. And that's why Germany and the EU have been telling their citizens, pack your bags, leave Iran immediately. Think about how big of a deal that is. Western governments don't issue those warnings unless they know something. Which means the intelligence agencies are basically whispering, yeah, an attack is coming. And here's where it gets even scarier. If Israel strikes Iran, it won't just be Israel versus Iran. You're dragging in the US, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Hezbollah, Houthis, maybe even China, Russia indirectly. Basically, World War Middle East. And then, just when you think the story couldn't get darker, enter Charlie Kirk. Yeah, that Charlie Kirk, the conservative American commentator who was assassinated recently. Now here's the shocking part. Multiple reports claim Netanyahu himself may have had a motive. Why? Because allegedly, Netanyahu offered Charlie Kirk's organization $150 million through TPUSA to push pro-Israel propaganda. And Kirk refused. He rejected the money. 2 weeks later, he's dead. Now, let's be clear, these are allegations. Investigations are ongoing. But the fact that this is even being talked about shows how toxic Netanyahu's reputation has become. The narrative forming is, if you don't play ball with Israel, you end up 6 feet under. And whether that's true or not, politically, Netanyahu looks like a cornered mafia boss whose hit job just got exposed. Here's the bigger picture. The world isn't just angry, it's reorganizing. Luxembourg just officially recognized Palestine as a state. That's huge because it opens the floodgates for other European countries to follow. China's openly called Hamas the legitimate representative of Palestinians. That's a diplomatic bombshell. Jordan's king literally said they will take revenge on Israel for the Doha strike. That's not a statement, that's a threat. Iran has doubled down saying, we will never accept a two-state solution. To them, Israel doesn't even exist. So, what do you get when you put all of this together? They get Netanyahu isolated, Israel branded as a genocidal state, and the Middle East lining up against them. And in the middle of all this chaos, the United States still sending weapons, still defending Israel, even while its closest allies are backing away. At some point, Washington has to decide, are they willing to burn global credibility to protect one man, Netanyahu, who may not even survive politically back home? So here's the real question. What happens to a leader when half the world sees him as a criminal, and the other half sees him as a liability? Because Netanyahu isn't just fighting Palestinians anymore. He's fighting international law, global public opinion, and even its own collapsing legitimacy. Think about it. When the UN labels you a genocidal leader, when Europe recognizes your enemy as a legitimate state, when 57 countries declare they'll arrest you, you're not leading a country anymore. You're leading yourself into a corner. And if history has taught us anything, is that once a leader becomes untouchable internationally, the downfall at home comes even faster. So the endgame for Netanyahu is not about whether he wins in Gaza, it's about whether he even gets to leave Israel alive, free, and unarrested. Right now, the odds don't look good. This is bigger than one man. It's about what the world tolerates and what it doesn't. And for the first time in decades, the world is saying we will not tolerate genocide. The question is, will Netanyahu listen before it's too late? I'm Ali and this is your channel. If you want to stay updated on these global power shifts, hit subscribe, because the story of Netanyahu isn't just about Israel, it's about how fast the world order itself is changing.